So what if I told you the strongest currency in the world, the US dollar, is quietly but surely losing its grip, and Wall Street's biggest player thinks Bitcoin might be next in the line to take over? Sounds crazy? Right. But that's exactly what's happening right now behind the scenes. We already know global debt is ballooning, inflation is out of control, and now even BlackRock is calling out the cracks in the system. This is not tinfoil hat theory anymore. This is the biggest money managers in the world that are now sounding the alarm. Welcome to JRNY TV, where we break down the latest moves in digital finance so anyone can get ahead, whether you're new to this space or deep in the weeds. Today, we're diving face first into that bold prediction straight from BlackRock's CEO, Larry Fink, that Bitcoin could actually or eventually replace the US dollar as the global reserve currency. Yeah. Let that sink in for just a moment. Right now, the US debt is sitting at, you ready for it? A little over $36 trillion. And make no mistake, it's climbing fast. The Congressional Budget Office, they just warned that interest payments on that debt, it could soon hit $1 trillion a year, outpacing defense spending. That's a problem. At the same time, the dollar, it also keeps losing its purchasing power. Since 2000, the millennium, it's dropped by nearly 50% in value. And Larry Fink, the CEO of BlackRock, he sees the writing on the wall. In his latest shareholder letter, the BlackRock CEO warned that if the US doesn't manage its deficit problem, the world may be forced to pivot away from the dollar and toward decentralized hard cap assets, exactly like Bitcoin. So while most folks are still arguing about the next rate cut, the world's largest asset manager, he is out here saying Bitcoin might actually replace the dollar one day. This is no longer a fringe opinion. It's a shift that could shake global finance, and it is already in motion. Institutions are quietly but surely buying Bitcoin. Here's why that matters. While many retail investors remain hesitant, major institutions are steadily increasing their Bitcoin holdings. BlackRock's iShares Bitcoin Trust, for instance, has amassed nearly $50 billion with a B in assets, positioning it as one of the fastest growing ETFs in history. This significant accumulation reflects a growing institutional confidence in Bitcoin's potential as a hedge against economic instability. Larry Fink, CEO of BlackRock, has publicly acknowledged Bitcoin's potential to challenge the US dollar status as the global reserve currency, especially if the US fails to manage its national debt effectively. And right now, we're not doing such a hot job. This sentiment is echoed by many other financial leaders who view Bitcoin's decentralized nature and fixed supply as attractive features in an era of increasing fiscal uncertainty. The US national debt, it has surpassed $36 trillion as of April 2025, seriously raising concerns about the long-term sustainability of the dollar. In response, institutions are not only investing in Bitcoin, but they're also advocating for its inclusion in diversified portfolios. For example, Bitwise, it forecasts that more than $400 billion in institutional cap could flow into Bitcoin by the end of 2026. That's quite a bit considering that we are almost midway through 2025, highlighting the asset's growing appeal among professional investors. Moreover, and more importantly, countries like El Salvador and Bhutan have begun accumulating Bitcoin reserves, thus viewing it as a strategic asset. The United States itself has established a strategic reserve holding over 207,000 Bitcoin. And these developments, they signify a much broader acceptance of Bitcoin as a legitimate store of value, as well as a potential safeguard against traditional financial system vulnerabilities. Strategic Bitcoin reserves. Nations and corporations prepare for a new financial era. As the dollar stumbles and traditional finance wobbles, more governments and corporations are moving fast to build strategic Bitcoin stockpiles. And this is not just El Salvador anymore. This new wave of accumulation, it signals something much bigger. Bitcoin is being treated as a reserve-grade asset, the kind that you'd hold through war, inflation, and systemic collapse. Let's start with the US. Yes, the same US whose regulators spent years fighting crypto. In a wild turn, the federal government now holds over 207,000 Bitcoin, much of it seized through law enforcement operations. But it's not just sitting there. In March of 2025, the White House announced the formation of a strategic Bitcoin reserve designed to protect national financial interests and even serve as a hedge against future fiat instability, according to whitehouse.gov. And then there is MicroStrategy, the giga whale of corporate Bitcoin holdings. As of May 2025, they hold a jaw-dropping, wait for it, 580,000 Bitcoin, nearly 2.76% of the total supply, but who's counting? What started as a bold move by Michael Saylor is now a full-on treasury strategy. Their latest acquisition, another 4,020 Bitcoin, even at current high prices, because they're not trading. They're stockpiling for a post-dollar world, according to strategy.com. Now here's where it gets even more spicy. GameStop, yes, the meme stock. It has jumped into Bitcoin with both feet. In May of 2025, they reported holding 4,710 Bitcoin as part of a new treasury allocation. Their pivot to digital assets, it shows just how mainstream this move is becoming, even among non-tech giants. And we can't overlook Semler Scientific, a medical tech company that just boosted its stack to 4,449 Bitcoin, grabbing another 185 Bitcoin in a May top-up worth over $21 million. That's not a small play. That is a long-term conviction. Whether it's the US government, tech firms, retail giants, or medical companies, Bitcoin is moving from speculation to strategy. These are not just random bets. These are multi-billion-dollar reserve plays by players who know what's coming next. The road to $1 million. Why Bitcoin's path is already being paved. Bitcoin's journey toward a $1 million valuation is no longer a speculative fantasy, but rather a trajectory supported by tangible developments in the financial landscape. As of June 2025, Bitcoin is trading around $101,000, reflecting a robust market presence. Let's talk about how institutional adoption is accelerating. Institutional interest in Bitcoin has surged, with Bitcoin spot ETFs attracting over $5.24 billion in inflows just last month alone. This influx of capital from traditional financial entities, it underscores a growing confidence in Bitcoin as a legitimate asset class. Let's get into strategic reserves and national policies. The establishment of strategic Bitcoin reserves by nations like the US, which holds approximately 207,000 Bitcoin, it signals a broader shift in how governments perceive and utilize digital assets. Such moves not only legitimize Bitcoin, but also they set a precedent for other countries to follow suit. How about those market projections and analyst insights? Well, analysts, they're projecting that Bitcoin could reach between 180,000 and 250,000 by the end of 2025, which currently is 6 months away, driven by factors such as institutional adoption as well as market dynamics. But looking further ahead, some forecasts suggest that Bitcoin's price could soar to $1 million by 2028, contingent on continued adoption and favorable economic conditions. How about the global adoption trends? Well, crypto adoption is on the rise globally, with nearly 1 in 4 individuals in countries like the US, the United Kingdom, France, and Singapore, just to name a few, all owning currencies in 2025, up from 20% in 2024. This growing acceptance among the general populace further solidifies Bitcoin's position in the financial ecosystem. The convergence of institutional investment, national policy shifts, optimistic market projections, and increasing global adoption paints a compelling picture of Bitcoin's potential to reach that $1 million mark. While the timeline remains subject to various factors, the foundational elements for such a valuation are progressively falling into place, preparing for the future. Strategies for investors. As Bitcoin continues to solidify its position in the global financial landscape, investors are increasingly seeking strategies to capitalize on its growth. Here are some approaches to strongly consider. Number 1, don't forget this one. DCA, known as dollar cost averaging. Implementing a DCA strategy involves investing a fixed amount in Bitcoin at regular intervals, regardless of its price. This method can help you mitigate the impact of volatility, as well as reduce the risk of making large investments at inopportune times. Number 2, diversification with altcoins. While Bitcoin remains the flagship cryptocurrency, diversifying your portfolio with other promising digital assets, it can offer additional growth opportunities. Research and identify altcoins with the strong fundamentals and use cases that align with your investment goals. Number 3, staying informed. The cryptocurrency market is dynamic and rapidly evolving. Regularly monitor market trends, regulatory developments, and technological advancements to make informed investment decisions. Number 4, secure those storage solutions. You ensure the safety of your investments by using reputable wallets and storage solutions. Strongly consider hardware wallets for long-term holdings to help protect against online threats. Number 5, long-term perspective. Adopt a long-term investment horizon. While short-term price fluctuations are incredibly common, focusing on the long-term potential of Bitcoin as well as other cryptocurrencies can help you maintain investment discipline and reduce your emotional decision-making. By employing these strategies, investors can position themselves to benefit from the ongoing growth and adoption of Bitcoin among the broader cryptocurrency market. The future of Bitcoin and global finance. So here is where we're at. The US dollar, once the untouchable king of global finance, is starting to show some serious cracks. The debt is exploding, inflation's eating away at purchasing power, and even Wall Street giants like BlackRock are starting to eye the exit ramp. That exit may be Bitcoin. We're not just talking theories here. We're seeing real movement. Nations stacking Bitcoin reserves, companies like MicroStrategy and GameStop, just to name a few, reshaping their balance sheets, and institutional money pouring into Bitcoin ETFs like never never before. The perfect storm is a brewing. It's all pointing toward one thing. Bitcoin is no longer just a speculative asset. It is in fact becoming a serious contender for the role of global reserve currency. But does that mean it's going to replace the dollar by next year? Probably not. But step by step, the foundation is already right now being laid. And if this transition happens, even partially, the upside for early adopters could be life-changing, whether it's hitting 250,000 or crossing the $1 million mark by the end of the decade. The message is clear. Bitcoin's story is still just beginning. So the real question is, are you preparing for what's coming next? If you haven't already, start learning, start stacking, and do start building a long-term plan. As always, thanks for watching JRNY TV. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that little bell so you never miss the next big thing or shift in crypto. We will catch you in the next one.